Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been waiting for this one, and I know that this is the most anticipated interview in Sportswire radio, or maybe even in backyard or underground or even independent wrestling history, but for very good reasons tonight. Tonight, we're here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage. And there's no greater person to be here and to do those things with us tonight. Yesterday was May 17th. And why, ladies and gentlemen, was May 17th such a special and an important day? Well, it was the day that will live forever in backyard and underground wrestling history because there was a man named Ledger Shade that made his official in ring debut in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's anniversary show. And let's go back for a second and think about May 17th, 2020, and where we were at that particular time. We were in a worldwide pandemic, which nobody thought would have an end in sight. We were during a time of a presidential election that had divided the country. Racial tensions were abound. Even the sports world had shut down. But there was one company that didn't shut down, and that was the day a star was born from Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, Mr. Ledger Shade. And Mr. Shade wound up living forever in history, very similar to the day of January 23rd, 1984, when they say the day that Hulkamania was born in Madison Square Garden. Tennessee Backyard Wrestling in many ways is similar to Madison Square Garden in the backyard wrestling world, where it was on that day where Hulk Hogan had defeated the Iron Sheik to win his first WWF World Heavyweight Championship. May 17th, 2020, Ledger Shade was born. And we think about what was to come from Mr. Ledger himself, a Triple Crown winner, Tennessee State Classic winner. Yeah, going back in time there, ladies and gentlemen. He was also not even pinned for more than 700 days. Think about that, 700 days. The last time was October 10th, 2021, when Mr. Ledger was last pinned. During that time, we had no inflation, we had no wars, we had just gotten over COVID, sort of, and that was the last time Mr. Ledger lost in a ring. But also afterwards, he would go on to be arguably the greatest backyard wrestling heavyweight champion of the world. He was strapped with a rocket ship on his back. And that rocket ship would not only put him to the moon, but it took Tennessee Backyard Wrestling from once upon a time maybe being on black days to maybe living on to be the mothership. They went from 2,500 subscribers on YouTube to when, well, Mr. Ledger was last champion, just over 6,000. Think about that. Think about all the views that Tennessee Backyard Wrestling has generated, nearly 500,000 plus. Think about Barstool Sports, Macon Iron Fitness. It was all due to Ledger Shade. And we all lived in the Ledger era, the anarchy era, you might say. Maybe he was the original king. I mean, King Rage found that out firsthand at Battlefield, his very last official match in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, which was to decide who was the better company, Resurrection Wrestling or Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. And apparently, that's good for 1 year. I'll maybe ask Mr. Ledger about that later on. But the point is, Ledger Shade wound up going from maybe the guy that blacked everybody out to truly getting the last laugh. And maybe he did put the suicide button on everybody else in the yard. Those that tried to come in the yard from other places, those that might have said that they were the greatest and they were living the best. In fact, there was even one champion in another yard, in another state, in the Midwest that tried to basically do his own version of Ledger Shade. But just any other often imitator, there's only one Ledger Shade. There's only one true ruler of the yard. And when you think about Mount Rushmore in backyard wrestling, the man that has to be at the top of the list is the Shade himself. A who's who of people have found that out. The Nature Boy Gage Flair, Atomic Titan who's doing his own King version, or is once upon a time an individual who still might stand by the same things calls him Atomic Twerp. Lake Lewis, remember that name? The Alpha Daniel Cole, ring a bell to anybody? The Grim Reaper Joe Anderson, who? I mean, we could keep going. King Rage mentioned him. The point is that Ledger Shade ran through everybody. But not only he ran through everybody, he did it to put not only Tennessee backyard wrestling on the map, but really backyard wrestling as we know it. There has been a who's who of champions in the yard, past, present, maybe even future, but none of them that they could say will ever top the impact of what Ledger Shade did. What this man did, not only as the world heavyweight champion, your undisputed champion, he was even the United States champion and took a afterthought of a title, a mid-card of a championship, as well, he actually described it on TBW Rampage once upon a time, took that title and actually made it maybe even the standard bearer, maybe the measuring stick, some might even say. But the facts are is there are some champions in the yard that went out there and, yeah, they were champions, but maybe you'd see them once a month, once every 2 months. Every single week, you saw Ledger Shade. But not only did you see him, thousands of other people saw him. To the point, his biggest ever viewed show with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, one of his last, drew 8,600 views. His final show, Battlefield, 4,700 views. Who can forever forget? I could certainly say a lot of things. You can see why I'm tongue twisted. But the point is that there was even a funeral for Ledger Shade, but nobody could permanently bury arguably the greatest backyard draw in this sport has ever seen. How about that 500-day celebration? Does he still have some of the wine taste in his mouth? But the facts are is yours truly had introduced Mr. Shade as coming onto this platform a few short days ago. But the very words that I used were actually described by his confidant, the Painmaker, Joshua Allen at the time. He is the greatest. He is pound for pound the greatest backyard wrestling champion to ever be in our circuit. In fact, he's been so great of a champion that there have been many others who always said on this platform, I've been doing this for 5.5 years, and I've been covering underground, independent, and backyard wrestling for over 4 years. And every time I've come onto Sportswire Radio until today, everybody would mention Ledger Shade. Yeah, I'm a champion. I can go up against Ledger Shade. Yeah, I could beat him. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, there have been countless names that have been compared to Ledger Shade outside of Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. Some of them have even appeared in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. Kind of like a name, the destructive Jack Delta. Boy, did I need to get maybe magnifying glasses? Did I really need to check my vision after that once-in-a-lifetime moment? That was very similar to what could have been like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. The one match that everybody thought we might have got in 2002, but we didn't get. But for a few minutes and a fleeting moment in time, we got Ledger Shade and Jack Delta face to face. There was also some guy, Anthony Steele, who made his home traveling in different places. And for a while, we can say his name tonight because Mr. Shade doesn't at the moment work for Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. But the facts are is that Mr. Steele worked in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, and that was a match that a lot of people would have liked to have seen. There's been names recently that have been mentioned, Omen Black, Soldier GP, who've gone on and certainly done a number of different things in the underground. There have been other guys like Jake Matthews, a 15-year veteran, the new NEW Underground Wrestling Champion of the World. King Rage, been there, done that. Dustin Alexander's been mentioned. How about D'Angelo LaFlame, another guy that Mr. Shade saw a brief moment, and maybe he's the new man. Maybe he's the guy. Other guys that are almost a forbidden word to mention have always compared themselves to Ledger Shade, such as Aaron Blaze. Yes, the headline, the main event, Aaron Blaze. But there could only be one main event. There could only be one true headliner. And that's obviously Ledger Shade. Craven Rage, let's not even go there. Names of late, the resident rock star, Sean Jovi. The good guy, CJ Black. Who? Jason Storm. What's his latest name? We can keep going of different individuals that have all come on and said they're the best, they're the greatest. Mr. Judgment, Asher Christ, what's the difference? The Blaze, Ace Christian, who? Chase Wakefield, is he still alive? I can keep going of names throughout the yard, but in my 2 years of covering the backyard and underground wrestling scene, they've all said they're the best. But when you think about draw, you think about those that will stand the test of time, just like Hulk Hogan himself, to this day, even 40 years later, there's only one Hulk Hogan. There's only one Ledger Shade. There's only one Mr. Anniversary. There's only one Mr. TBW. There's only one person that main evented season finale 3 straight years in a row. There is only one big man who had a move set like no other. The frog splash off the top rope. Who could forget that? The Inzagiri. Find me a big man that could do what this man did. How about his super kick even when he wanted to do that? I mean, everybody talks about the Anthony Steele one, but Ledger Shade drops it almost like some people like me drop change on the floor, and maybe my little niece picks it up. We can keep going on. How about that suicide button I mentioned earlier on? Nobody in this sport does that. The facts are is that you look at the moveset for a man like this. He could be playing for the Indiana Pacers, and maybe they could use him tomorrow in Madison Square Garden, not too far from my hometown. But we had him here in the yard, and that's why he is, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest backyard wrestling champion of all time. Without a shadow of a doubt, he is the Anarchy King. We were all so lucky to live in his presence. We were so lucky to be in the Anarchy era. And that's why today, ladies and gentlemen, is a celebration of a man who gave his life for this sport. There's an expression used by one of my Hall of Famers in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, Hillbilly Tilly. And he said, true yarders do it for the love of this sport. There is no denying that every single day, Ledger Shade had pressure like no other person that has ever been in this yard, including Jack Delta, because Ledger Shade did it for one company. He did it for one place, and he put his blood, sweat, and tears here for us. And he grew this sport by leaps and bounds. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, he grew it such to the point that there are people that I know in other countries that I cover in the world of wrestling, in the United Kingdom, places like Australia, Italy, Canada, that would say to me, Tom, you know the guys in Tennessee backyard wrestling? And I would say, I sure do. And I would say Ledger Shade was always pound for pound the best champion there was. There is no denying the facts, ladies and gentlemen. We wish we could have seen a who's who of people wrestle him. The nemesis James Taylor. I may not go there right now, but maybe I'll ask him later on about that. We could go on and on and on about Ledger Shade. And I know people are waiting to hear from Mr. Ledger. But before I go on and on and on about this man, this icon, yes, Jack Spade may be an icon, but the fact is, as I stated, there's only one Ledger Shade. As a matter of fact, when most of us are dead and buried somewhere, even though Mr. Ledger, they may try to bury, but something tells me like on episode 130, he'll probably come back out anyway and still live. And maybe he'll live 3 or 4 times over because he'll never fall on black days. The facts are is that they'll be talking about Ledger Shade. They'll be talking about him till the end of time. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it is my utmost honor to introduce the greatest backyard wrestling champion of all time, the man that main evented 3 consecutive Tennessee backyard wrestling season finales, the Tennessee State Classic champion, Triple Crown winner, undisputed champion of over 500 days, and the United States champion, Ledger Shade. But Mr. Shade, Mr. Ledger, as you used to be called, before you come on here, I must give you an introduction. As a matter of fact, I've been waiting for it. We're going to shoot. I've been waiting actually for over 10 months to give you that introduction. And it's time to give you that one because so many people are so happy to see you here. As a matter of fact, as I said it, to introduce you one more time a few short hours ago, even though I've never met you, I've never had a conversation with you until a few short days ago, I truly feel that you're home, and maybe the last time we saw you was supposed to be the celebration of the Anarchy era. Tonight is the true celebration of the man they call Ledger Shade. So let's get right to it here because we're in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, and I'm from New York, and I do things a little differently because there's no platform that really is, figuratively and literally, all wrestling matters like this one. So let's get right to it, Mr. Shade, because I've been waiting a long time and the world has been waiting a long time to give you this introduction. So with
That's it, Tom. That's it. That's it.
Without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one sports show. Our
Damn.
Hulk Hogan, the one and only, the Shade, the Anarchy King himself. Ledger
Give it up, Tom. Give it up, Tom.
Shade. The champ is here.
Damn, Tom. What an introduction, man. It's been a long time coming, brother. It's been a long time coming. Excited to be here. Excited to finally speak to my fans, speak to the backyard wrestling scene. It's been 8 months, which is crazy. Time's flown by. It's just crazy how quick times went by.
Wow. I mean, the world feels so differently, and it's obviously is a lot that people want to say. I got to be honest. I want to play something for the audience, and tonight is different. I've been doing this a long time, champ. I've done a lot of interviews. I've interviewed politicians that were elected in office. I've interviewed professional athletes that won the World Series, guys that played in the NHL playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals. I've interviewed college basketball players. I covered college basketball. I have interviewed Dean Allmark, who wrestled in TNA Impact Wrestling. I've interviewed Chad Parham, who wrestled AJ Styles once upon a time. But tonight is different because this is the one show that has been really on people's minds. This is, to me, a little different tonight. Yes, Jack Delta's here Monday, and you're going to get the floor first. But the facts is you can go and say anybody I've ever had on this platform, only one person has drawn the attention and the curiosity like you, nobody else. But before I do that, Mr. Shade, and before I introduce you and get to the comments, there's something special. And the reason that we're actually here and we're a little behind on schedule is because I have something that I've received, from somebody that might know you, Mr. Ledger. And I'm going to certainly do my best references from your confidant going, Mr. Ledger. But I want to play this video for our audience.
Okay.
Since you insist, because I think that the world needs to see this video, because I can assure you this is why this was worth the wait. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to Mr. Ledger. We're going to get to your comments. Everybody, I know the backyard wrestling world has been waiting for this one. Plus, I've got a lot of things I've got for you that I'm going to give you tonight. So we're celebrating you. But first, let's play this video for our audience. Backyard backyard wrestlers in this generation is the guy that you would say put not only TBW on Mount Rushmore, but maybe all of backyard wrestling. Ledger Shade was the most decorated TBW superstar of all time. Suddenly, he kind of vanished.
Moto okay, ain't thinking about no reaper. Nigga, I'm reaping what I sow, okay. Got a Benjamin and a Jackson all in my house, like I'm Joe, okay. Hellcat, met his homeboys in them types LA solo, okay. Everybody wanna be demon till they get chipped by your throwaway. And I might do a show a day. Once a lame, always a lame. Oh, you thought the money, the power of fame will make you go away? Have you ever played? Have you ever? Okay, nigga, let's play. Have you ever walked your enemy down like with a poker face? Have you ever paid 500,000 like to an open case? Well, I have, and I failed at both, but I came out straight. I hate when a rapper talk about guns, then somebody die, they turn into nuns, then I hop online like pray for my city. He faking for likes and digital hugs. His daddy a killer, he wanna be junior. They must have forgot the shit that they done. Dementia must run in his family, but let it get shaky. I park your son. The very first time I shot me a Drake, the homie had told me to aim it this way. I didn't point down enough. Today I show you I learned from those mistakes. Somebody had told me that you got a ring. On God, I'm ready to double the wage. I'd rather do that than let a Canadian nigga make Pac turn in his grave. Cut the business, you got shit twisted. What is it, the brakes? I hurt your feelings, you don't work with me no more. Okay. There's 3 ghosts left and I see 2 of them kissing and hugging on stage. I love them to death, and in 8 bars I'll explain that phrase. It's nothing nobody can tell me. I don't wanna talk on no celly. You know I got language barriers. It's no accent you can sell me. You're cold and you know I'm a selfish nigga. The crown is heavy. I pray they my real friends. If not, I'm YNW Melly. I don't like you popping shit at Pharrell for him. I inherit the beef. Yeah, fuck all that pushing P. Let me see you push a T. You better off spinning again on him. You think about pushing me. He's Terrence Thornton, I'm Terrence Crawford. Yeah, I'm whooping feet. We ain't gotta get personal, this a friendly fade. You should keep it that way. I know some shit about niggas that make gonna wanna look like a saint. This ain't been about critics, not about gimmicks, not about who the greatest is. It's always been about love and hate. Now let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way that you sneak this. If I catch flight, it's gonna be direct. You gonna make a nigga bring back Puff. Let me see if Chubbs really crashed something. You're my first one, like my last one. It's a classic, you don't have one. Let your core audience stomach that. Then tell them where you get your abs from. V12, it's a fast one. Bow, bow, bow. Last one. Headshot for the year. You better walk around like Daft Punk. Remember? Hey, Top Dog, who the fuck they think they playing with? Extortion my middle name as soon as you jump off of that plane, bitch. I'm allergic to the lame shit. Only you like being famous. Yachty can't give you no swag neither. I don't give a fuck about who you hanging with. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. Surprised you wanted that feature request. You know that we got some shit to address. I even hate when you say the word, but that's just me, I guess. Some shit just cringeworthy. Ain't even gotta be deep, I guess. Still love when you see success. Everything with me is blessed. Keep making me dance, waving my hand, and there won't be no threat. Knowing they call you the boy, but where's the man? Cause I ain't seen him yet. Matter of fact, I ain't even bleed him yet. Can I bleed him? Bet. I ain't 20v1, it's 1v20. If I gotta smack niggas that right with you. Yeah, bring them out too, I clean them out too. Tell Bean that he better stay right with you. I don't trust y'all niggas. I wave one finger and thump y'all niggas like, field goal punt y'all niggas. They punk y'all niggas. Nobody never took my food. Whoever that's fucking with them, fuck you niggas and fuck the industry too. If you take it there, I'm taking it further. Psst, that's something you don't wanna do. Ooh. We don't wanna hear you say no more. We don't wanna hear you say no more. Stop.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? What a video. Mr. Shade, I mean, boy, you certainly know how to make an entrance. You certainly know your audience, and I guess I'll say it. How are you officially tonight?
I'm great, man. I couldn't be better. Like I said, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm ecstatic to be here.
You should be, because you know what? Tonight, and I'm going to get to people because the world wants to talk to you. I do feel like even though I've never met you, we've never had a real conversation until the past few days, you're home right now. You're where you belong. Tonight is a celebration. And I guess I should open it up in a different way. And what do you want to say to all your fans out there? Everybody that you obviously did so much for. You've done so much for us. And what would you like to say to start off to everybody out there listening and to all your fans, so many of them that love you and miss you? And what do you want to say to them?
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, I'd like to appreciate, the support because I've been out for 8 months and continuing to still be out. I haven't wrestled since September, late September. I think the show came out in October. So to still hear from the fans and all that stuff, it's encouraging, definitely. So I appreciate the support.
What did it mean to you in what you did for this sport? I mean, you literally, as I stated, you put this sport on your back. It wasn't just Tennessee backyard wrestling. You really did represent all of the yard. You were the guy. I mean, there's no denying it. There are individuals that are here that obviously some were colleagues of yours, some were in other promotions. And, what did that mean to you to be the number one guy? What was that like for you?
I worked hard, Tom. I worked hard, not just inside the ring, but outside the ring with character, storytelling and all that stuff.
You came a long way from when you started. I watched you so much these last 40. I mean, I knew
Right.
you from last year, but watching the 4-year journey, there's no denying how far you came to be the man.
Oh yeah, and there's still plenty of room, to improve because I'm not where I want to be right now. But yeah, man, I'm just super ecstatic to finally be on the show, even though, my Pacers are going to be in your city tomorrow.
Well, as I was telling the audience, I'm not a Knicks fan, so at this point, I mean, I lean more toward the Nets because I'm from Brooklyn. So I could say if you want the Pacers to win, you're Mr. Ledger.
Drive down the road.
Well, listen, I would rather be speaking with you than some of the Knicks and some of the Pacers because
Tom.
No, listen, you're Mr. Ledger. You're Mr. Ledger. And I think many of the simpletons, I'm just kidding, would agree with me on that because you've meant so much. And, yesterday, and I will get to comments, yesterday was a special day, as I stated. May 17th was 4 years ago where you made your official in-ring debut in Tennessee backyard wrestling. And what did that mean to you that 4 years ago you came out there and think about the time you came and debuted, what we were going through in this world, in this country, and yet you in Tennessee backyard wrestling rose to heights that really nobody in the yard has reached.
Yeah, man, for sure. Like I said, it's been 4 years. That's crazy that, it's already been 4 years of Ledger Shade in the backyard. And I remember, the first time that I went to TBW, just checking it out and stuff. That was actually in 2017 during season 1. I had a buddy who was a part of TBW, and he wanted me and one of my best friends to go out there and check them out. So we went out there, checked it out. It's because we were always into wrestling and stuff, but we never documented anything that we done because we were just kind of like kids playing around in the neighborhood and stuff. And just trying to stay out of trouble, really.
Well, when you come in and you debut, most people debut and, it takes them a while, but you go right into the main event. And like I said, very similar to a Hulk Hogan. Hogan comes into WWF and a few weeks later, he re-enters the WWF and he wins the World Heavyweight title. And really, that's the day modern wrestling is born. He was the Babe Ruth. And you, in a lot of ways, even though backyard wrestling was around and there was certainly peaks and valleys, but this current run that backyard and underground wrestling is on, I mean, nobody can deny the fact that from the very beginning, you were the man. You were in main events pretty much all the way through 3 consecutive season finale main events. You were Mr. Anniversary. I mean, main event after main event. You wrestled, as I stated, on Rampage shows. I mean, you were a real working man champion. And, what was that like to be just thrust into it, to be in the main event right off the bat in your career?
Well, it's tough, to be honest, because, you're the new guy around and, everybody sees this guy who's good and, it's competitive. It really is competitive, but it's a friendly competition.
Sure.
But yeah, it was nuts.
Did you know as time went on that you had something special? I mean, was there a moment in time in your career that you said, you know what, I'm going to be the guy that goes and has this rocket basically pushed on me and I'm going to go straight to the moon and take everybody else with me? Was there ever a moment in your career where it said, hey, it clicked?
I wouldn't say necessarily click, but I would like to give credit to the owner of TBW and some of the producers and stuff like
Sure.
that for believing in me and seeing my potential and noticing my craft and stuff. And that once again, I worked hard. Like I didn't just go out there my first day and I was this great wrestler. That's not the case because there's so much more into wrestling than just the athletics.
But you certainly, I think, over time, I mean, watching you, and I actually had a chance. I feel like all I've done is seen you on my screen the last 2 days, to kind of in preparation, because this was special. This was different. This wasn't like I bring somebody on. I had a guy on a few days ago who said training in the gym was wrestling, and he can't even run the ropes. You are a very special person. As a matter of fact, as I stated, I would dare say that you are more special than professional wrestlers I've interviewed because of the reach that you've had for what you've done in this sport. And I'm proud to say what the backyard means to me. A lot of people take that and it's a dirty word to them. Me, I'm from Brooklyn, so I am not afraid of anything. I've grown up with all those things all my life, and I'm proud to represent the backyard wrestling community. You did it so proudly.
Yeah.
You did it so strongly. And I'm just curious, you improved so much with that work ethic. You talked about the moveset. We talked about what you did off the top rope. We talked about, the super kick. We talked about just even, the last laugh. We talked about the blackout. We talked about the suicide button, all the different moves you had, the enziguri. I mean, you were able to do something that honestly, a lot of guys that even step in the yard can't do. And how are you able to pull that off to be able to be this big man that wasn't just some guy that looked tall and just
I'm not that big, Tom. Let's get real. I'm 6'1", but I'm like 165,
but you
170.
moved, you on screen looked like somebody that was larger than life. And at the end of the day, you did things that, let's be honest, guys in the yard who might be shorter than you or taller than you or in between, as you correctly stated, still can't do what you did. The dedication to your craft to be able to go from where you started on May 17th, 2020 to when we last saw you in a ring at Battlefield, it's really a rapid transformation. As a matter of fact, before I let you speak, I wish that people that would come on my platform and certain people of late that have come on here and talked about their show and talked about this and they're going to go that would really study your tapes. Study what you've done. And from the beginning, when you showed up against Gage Flair, to when you wrestled King Rage, to when you wrestled Daniel Cole, to when you wrestled Atomic Titan as your more recent opponents, and see the progression and see how hard you worked. And I think that to me speaks volumes about your character.
Well, Tom, I want to get back to, talking about the viewership and stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it never fails, to amaze me, the reach that we have or we had over at TBW that they still have.
Absolutely.
Because I would get noticed, uptown quite a bit. And then even one time out of town towards Nashville, I got noticed. And this is about a week after I, left TBW. So that it's a credit to, everyone's hard work. Not everybody has the same workload, but everybody, they do their part. So that's just a testimony to how hard everybody worked at TBW.
And you had to have worked even harder because even though you had been champion for so long, we talk about this a lot on the platform. I speak with guys. One of my friends is a guy, RP Davis, who's the only person in the entire country of the United Kingdom to have been a major boxing and a world champion. And I would talk to him. He was the first major wrestling interview I've done. He's coming back onto the platform. I would always ask about the pressure of being a champion. And I ask you that because you weren't just a champion. You weren't just some guy that had a promotion and put the title on himself. You were a champion of a company, as we stated, that's gotten 500,000 views. It's been mentioned in Barstool Sports, has a sponsor now. How did you deal with the pressure as time went on, being the undisputed champion?
I lost a lot of hairs through that time. It's
I could probably give you some in case you may notice.
Well, I first want to say, pressure is a privilege. So
Sure.
I always looked at it like that. So, I embrace, the opportunity to, headline the show, to main event. I take that opportunity and I give 100%.
Oh, you did that and some. There's no question that you did that, and you obviously, as you're
Oh yeah, I put my body on the line for views many a times.
Well,
But
what do you?
that's
Well, I'm
that's a
glad
lot
you
of us
said,
in the backyard. So
and I'm so glad you said that because, as I've continued to state, one of our Hall of Famers, a gentleman in the great state of Alabama, Hillbilly Tilly, has long stated that true yarders do it for the love of this sport. And you did that, champ. Champ, your moveset, you weren't just some guy that kicks and punches. You weren't just some guy that goes out there and just throws somebody into the ring post, hits a spine buster, and it's all she wrote. You would really go out there and dive and put your body out there. It was match after match, whether it was Lake Lewis, whether it was Cooper, whether it was Gage Flair, whether it was Titan, whether it was Anderson, whether it was the Wars with Cole, Rage. I mean, we can keep going down. Vinny Vince, I can mention his name. Yeah, we can mention his name. It's my platform. The point is that the up and down, the people, Jay Wild, the Wars with the Prophet Jay Wild, we can go up and down the list of people. And every time you stepped out there, like I said, you went out there and did more than you needed to do. You were really a guy that, like I stated, were the example of putting your blood, sweat, and tears out there.
yeah, 100%. But that's all of us. Every time we step out of that curtain, man, and take a foot in the ring, you risk you risk death, really.
Oh, for sure. Listen, I mean, there's no question what you guys do. I mean, it's that's why every day, I know sometimes it doesn't look that way, but every day I'm on this platform and I really try my best, especially to honor the backyard and the underground wrestling scene. I'd like to get to some comments because a lot of people have been so patient in wanting to say hello to you, and I really want to allow them to say hello as well. And there's a lot of things I want to give you. I want to put some more videos on the screen because today really is a celebration. I can't stress this enough that this is a celebration of a man that really, I mean, he went above and beyond his means. This is what this man has done. Truly, he is one of the greatest guests that has ever come on this platform. And I said it, to me, you are the main event of Sportswire Radio history, hands down. Speaking of people that I mentioned earlier, Jack Spade, yes, we've all been waiting for it. I'm going to get to some of the comments here that wanted to get to, especially. A man that I'm going to get to in a little while. I want to save him because he's my guest Monday night. And there was that one segment, that one famous segment you had with that individual. And I want to spend some time.
Come on, Jack. We were cooking, man.
I'm going to get to that, but I want to save that because he's also a very special individual to me. And he doesn't come on very often.
For sure,
Monday night. Want to say hello to a gentleman, Peter Richards, from the great state of Oklahoma. Our friends over in Iowa who just had a great show as well. They just put on their YouTube page, the IMF. Also another man that's, also would, compare himself to you. Omen Black, who's a little bit of a different style of a wrestler in the great state of Iowa. He's the DKW World Champion, the IMF Hardcore Champion. He also, I want to say hello to our friends Darkron over in Ohio. He was in Iowa. Let me get to some more comments. Our friends over at NEW Underground Wrestling just had their most recent All Out War 9 show. And what a fantastic show. They crowned the new world champion, which is Jake Matthews, who's been a 15-year veteran. And he is, some would say, the best Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. Another veteran that's obviously been trying to take the mantle from you and run with it, but in a positive light, Sean Joby, the resident rock star. How you doing? Holy Dude Gaming 24. Nice to see you. I think I know who this individual is. Once upon a time was in the friendly confines of a locker room you were in. And I want to say hello there. Also, Joseph Tibbs, who we saw on a Tennessee Backyard Wrestling screen once upon a time. And Mr. Tibbs is obviously getting ready to be back in the ring. He announced it on this platform. He wants to return to the ring. So there you have it. Also, want to get to some more comments. Also here all evening, yes, officially Darkron and Aaron Blaze, a man that I think was certainly a controversial name to some, but I feel like now because we break doors down, he's actually, people are looking at him in a different light, and I'm happy to see that. Want to see this individual, which I believe is another individual, Tommy the Man Merriman from the great state of Indiana, and ironically, you're wearing an Indiana Pacers shirt. If it's the same Thomas Merriman, also a man, and he says hello, and Darkron loved the Shade program, and yes, I think a lot of people did. I'll come back to this question because I want to come back to that. I'll come back to later on. I'm on the way back tomorrow morning. Thank you, Tristan Johnson. Justin Parsley, another long-time standout. He is a 2-time, soon-to-be 3-time Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, and he says he's excited for this. No, it's not Beavis and Butthead. And yes, people are really fired up. They're very fired up, and because people were waiting for you. An individual that I'm sure you once upon a time shared a locker room with, some guy, James Taylor, the Nemesis. Yep.
Few times.
A few times. Yeah, I know. I'm going to come to him. I promise you I'm going to come to him. Don't you worry. My buddy Joe Stone, who from the great state of Iowa. Yeah, the chat is power. Like I said, people, it's different. You know, with all due respect, I had the XCW champion on yesterday, Miano Diaz, great young kid. But this is a different atmosphere than what I had yesterday. Today is just, like I said, to me, I could feel it in my intro. Unlike everyone else, I made to TBW and looked Ledger Shade in his face in the prime of his career. I didn't want to win the title. He did mention that when you guys had that one confrontation, and I wanted to face him one-on-one and take away that undefeated streak. Let me come back. I know there's a lot of comments. I want to spend a minute on
that.
This.
That would have been nice. That would have been a great payoff.
That would have been the dream because, to me, as I stated, we never got Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That was the one, we got Hogan in The Rock. We got Austin in The Rock. We got Sting in Triple H for what that was worth.
This Hogan shit's funny, man.
Ironically, well, because Matthew Joseph was your mentor, and he was the one.
Yeah. Matthew Joseph, big Hogan guy. So,
but truthfully, in terms of a magnifying of what you did as a draw, I mean, the numbers are what they were, right? When you won the belt, when you started as champion, we were what, 2,200 subscribers plus, and when your reign ended, it was 6,000. I mean, find me a champion that did that. Find me a champion that helped lay the foundation for TBW going to Barstool. Find me a champion that laid the foundation for TBW making Iron Fitness. Listen, what you did for TBW helped everybody. I mean, let's kick the ballistics for a second. Let's really be real. This is no knock on anybody. This is a truth. When TBW did well, guess what? Every other promotion did well. Every other Fed did well. Because when you guys did well, it said to some kid out there, somebody else that was watching, maybe I want to watch backyard wrestling more. And they went to find places like DBW, VTW, XCW, IMF, WCE, NEW, TF Crew, Legendary Backyard Wrestling. Anybody that watched you guys, it's like anything else. When you're a fan of a rapper, when you're a fan of a rock band, you're a fan of a pop artist, don't you go and find someone else to look up to, someone else to watch? And the facts are, is what you did it for everybody. Everybody that's out there in a yard somewhere, they owe some debt of gratitude to you because you helped the yard. We had a gentleman come on here a few days ago who honestly gave us all a bad name. And unfortunately, I'm not going to talk about those things right now. You, on the other hand, were somebody that made everybody proud. Whether you were playing a character that people wanted to absolutely vilify in the majority of your run as the world champion, but there's no denying what you did. You did it for everybody. As a matter of fact, there's a kid out there that's been on my platform who's interviewed some guys in TBW. And he comes from the country of Australia. His name's Ace Reed, and he watched TBW. He's probably out here somewhere right now. He's probably in the chat. If he's not, it's because there's a time difference. And it's kids like him that wound up getting into backyard wrestling because of you. There's very few people that can say. And as a matter of fact, I know I'm going long, but it is my platform. This is a special moment. I still have a lot of things to give you. You did something that pro wrestlers don't even have an impact on. I know it's a dirty word, pro versus the yard, but there's no denying the facts. You did impact more people's lives in a short amount of time that I'll guarantee that even many pro wrestlers will. So I just wanted to get that off my chest.
That is high praise, man. I'm terrible at taking praise.
Well, but, you're in Sportswire Radio's law, so go ahead. Talk before I get to more comments.
Yeah, go ahead and continue with some comments.
Okay, good enough. You're Ledger Shade. I'm not going to argue like Mr. Allen.
Yeah, come on, Simpleton. Comments. We want comments.
The lamb chops is crazy. Where's the cash? So I've had this look.
I want to hear from the backyard universe.
I'm gonna get to them. I've seen a lot of people attempt to do a Joker gimmick in the yard. By far, Ledger has done it the best. Yeah, I think there's obviously one Ledger. I mean, there was a guy out there in Wisconsin, Craven Rage, tried to be you, and it was really, with all due respect, I love Craven Rage, but there's only one Ledger Shade. What's popping? How you doing, Anarchy? I know I have to get you on my platform soon, and yes, this chat is definitely popping. Yes, people are just still. My intro tonight was different. It was different. Only time I mute the show is during the intros. Well, it was a special one. What can I say? My neighbors, by the way, just you're gonna laugh at this. My neighbors are dead people. Actually, literally, my neighbors are a cemetery.
That comment's funny as hell right there.
Yeah, so that's why I said, well, and my neighbors are dead, so I'm sure they're rolling in their graves. But bump. Is he gonna let Ledger talk? He's talking. Yes, he has. Pacers jersey. Yes, go Pacers. I went crazy. Yes, I did go all out. Jack loved the video. Now Jack's gonna want a video on Monday when he comes on. So you wait. Maybe Jack will have a video now. How you doing, Zilla?
Did you make that video, Tom? Did you
Which
cook
one?
that up for me?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny. Speaking of people that want to say hello, a man that shared a locker room with you once upon a time, and some would have argued maybe would have been groomed to be almost someone like you, and Armageddon Shane Davidson, the Southern Bulldozer, and he says hello, and you have a moment or two. What do you think about Shane Davidson? What was his potential like? He was a guy that was up and coming, and what was your memories of Shane Davidson? Armageddon.
Honestly, brief, because when he was coming in, I was kind of
coming out. Yeah.
It was pretty well known, or at least to management, it was known. There was always a timetable on that. Season 8 anniversary time I was
tough.
Always, telling them, y'all guys got to find a new top guy. Y'all guys got to find.
It's funny you said that, because you looked toward the end. It reminded me almost of a musician that was tired on the road. I don't know why Jimi Hendrix came to mind toward the end of his run, his life, and he was playing so much. And in college, I did a thesis on Jimi Hendrix, and it reminded me of that because he was doing so much, and it was only a matter of time for the burnout. Thankfully, you're alive with us. But
I was burnt out, man. But nobody could, take me from the backyard, man.
No, that's what you could tell, that there was like those last shows, even going into the battlefield and all that stuff. You could see it. Cameron Cage, yes. How you doing, Cameron? And speaking of Ace Reed, see, I know my audience. This one here, Little Mike, we're going to leave that at that. D Savage, who was technically the brand new underground heavyweight champion in the great state of Massachusetts, but got cashed in on by Jake Matthews. So we see you here in California waiting on your return. See, I told you how many people were just like, they were motivated, that you meant something. I'm a factor of that, Mr. Cody Flores. Watching you all made me want to do it. Cody was on my stream a few times in the past. And Mr. James Taylor, of course, would like to add some things. Let's get into it. Me and Ledger crossed paths only once, and that was in the Raging Rumble. Unfortunately, we never went one-on-one, but never say never. Want him to know off screen, I always respected him, and I hope he felt the same. Had lots of phone calls with this man. I like to think of him as a friend. What did you think about what James Taylor said just now? As our most recent comment. What does that mean to you? He thought of you as a friend.
I think James is, he's a good guy. We always got along.
Okay, all right. But it was another one like Jack Delta, a could have, would have, that you guys could have had a match. I think that's the tough one. Sometimes it's
tough, man.
That's tough because you and Jack Delta had a brief moment. You and James Taylor had a brief moment, but it never materialized, and that's sometimes tough. I'm going to put a couple of things.
It's tough.
I'm going to play a couple of your favorite moments, but before I do that, Mr. Ledger, because I got so many things I want to recognize you for, I have to put them up on the screen eventually because I've already got 48 minutes in. I want to first of all present to you something that you could have, hopefully, as a sign of our appreciation and honoring you for everything that you've done for us in the particular yard. So let me do that here first. I'm going to take this off the screen.
Tom, I'm terrible at gifts, man.
Well, you're the ledger. I mean, you're the shade. So you're the Mr. Shade. You're the anarchy king. We're living in your era right now on Sportswire Radio. So I'm gonna do it here because you are now officially being acknowledged as the anarchy king of Sportswire Radio. So first of all, congratulations on that one.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it, Tom. I'm the Anarchy King somewhere, right?
I mean, you ended up as that, so I had to, at the very least, put that on the screen. I've got a few more things I want to present, but I did want to ask you. There's another up and coming guy that I've become very close with, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you an opinion. I'm another guy that was probably coming in while you were coming out, but he's come back. He's become a major player. He's a great talker. He's a guy that I've got a lot of chemistry with on and off the air. As a matter of fact, you're going to laugh. He's actually competing in a competitive eating contest here live on Sportswire Radio this Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to see how many McDonald's burgers he can eat, but I'm talking about the trendsetter, Mr. Stay Trendy himself, who's always changing lanes, Alan Michaels. And Alan has become a guy, become a top player in TBW, recently defeated Jay Wild the Prophet, and he's had big segments of late with Russell Cooper. He's had segments, obviously, with Gage Flair in the past. Atomic Titan, he lost controversially, too. Do you have a thought or two on Alan Michaels as a guy that's an up-and-coming star, a guy that's, certainly working his way up the ranks, and somebody I've become very close with?
Yeah, once again, like you said, you kind of hit it on the nail. When I was, on my way out, he was kind of coming in. So I really didn't get to know the guys, Shane and Mikey. But I got to see a little bit of their work, and they both, have a lot of potential, and they're both, talented and they have a lot of size, and they have a lot of potential.
Did you get asked a lot for advice by the up and coming or the younger talent in TBW? I know you were like on another level, but would you get asked advice a lot?
Surprisingly, no.
Why not? I would think what you've done in this sport, why wouldn't you get advice or be asked for advice?
I don't think it was necessarily because, people didn't, like really like think it was validation, getting advice from me. But it just had more of to do with other things, to be honest.
Do you feel this is real, you could answer anyway. Would you have liked to have given advice, or it was just you were in such a different level that it was so hard? Because I've asked Delta this question. He's probably the only other person that can
myself
understand
a lot out there because there was so much pressure all the time to perform at such a high level.
Right, which is why the only reason I was going to say Delta might be the only other person that could probably relate to that question, because Delta, although he didn't do it just in TBW, he was in so many feds, and he was on another level, so he might be the only other person that could probably relate to that pressure because of just the magnitude of where he was and such. And obviously, Cody Flores wants to tell us the Mavericks came all the way back and defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder. So congratulations to our Mavericks, certainly out there. They're going to the Western Conference Finals. So
damn, that's good for them.
Good for them and good for business. But, I know Peter Richards has a question, which I'm not going to ask that question because I don't know if it's the appropriate question, because it's a celebration. I want to certainly be respectful of you on that because it's a very special time to have you. But thank you, Peter, for the question. And, something about a bottle. But we're going to certainly go away from that. I wanted to ask you, though, in terms of.
Yeah, guys, let's keep these questions close to the line.
And I think we're going to do that. But I wanted to ask you, when you were champion, did you either ever pay attention or look at other feds as saying they were competition? I was always curious on that. Was that ever something you paid attention to, or you were just
honestly, that's something that we weren't thinking about, or at least I can speak for myself that I never thought about because I was just so focused.
Sure.
On making TBW number one.
Right.
That was always the goal for me. I can't speak for everybody, but I was in it to be number one always.
Sure. And I think that it's different because there are some feds that come on here and they would talk about the ratings. Which is to me bogus, but there were, feds obviously that would say, what they would look at those things. So I could certainly understand that. I do have a question, which I think I can allow you to answer. What was your thoughts on the likes of Max Chaos and the creation of BCW? You have a thought or two on that? I can let you answer it, I suppose. I mean, you ever thought of Max Chaos and what he's done lately? Okay.
To be honest, I really haven't seen the product.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm going to come back to something else that Mr. Davidson had, but I want to play something on the screen that's a special moment for you. And I want to do that shortly. And before I do that, I would like people to know that Monday night, if you're here right now for Ledger Shade, you better be here for Jack Delta. He's going to be here at 10 o'clock Eastern time, just like you, Mr. Ledger, was. And he's going to take his place into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And if you're out there on YouTube right now and you just met us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. And please support our friends, actually, also over at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. They're at TBW 2017 on YouTube. You can check them out on all other platforms. You can check us out here on Sportswire Radio because we have an internet radio station where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we play some of your favorite podcasts, some of your favorite shows and such. So if you have anything out there you'd like to request, we will play it for you. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, figuratively and literally here. And we are here with Mr. Ledger Shade. And Mr. Ledger, I am going to put something up here on the screen, which would be a magnified moment here, which I can find on my screen, which, in fact, I'm going to pull it here up. I think
What you got? What you got?
This is a fun one here. You're gonna probably chuckle. Here we go. Here, I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna put this on pause first so I can sync my screen up. So this will be a memorable moment. So we're gonna put this on screen. Here we go. Oh, now it should come up. There we go. Okay, here we go, Mr. Ledger. Now I'm gonna put this up on the screen, and
It's got to be good, man.
No, it is. It's going to be very good because I kind of mentioned it earlier, and this will probably laugh. We'll play a little bit of it because there's only so much time that I want to give to the people to speak. And
earlier, and now the casket's inside the ring. And here we go, folks. It's time for the Painmaker presents Ledger's funeral. There's a body inside of it, Ross. How do you know what's in there? You check?
Yeah, my tall ass is in that small box.
From our world heavyweight champion, the Grim Reaper, Joe Anderson, along with, I'm sure, the Painmaker, Josh Raw, who I assume for this funeral is the ordained, self-proclaimed minister for this gathering here.
And what's in the hand? Wait a minute, it's a picture of Ledger.
It's a photograph of Ledger.
Hey, he killed this, man.
what was this like?
Cross,
Yeah, I
it looks like to me a minute ago. Now look at that photograph. It looked like he was mourning the place that started.
I'm gonna play this while we have it on mute. So walk me through this. What was this like? Being a part of.
Yeah, man. This was a pivotal character development moment for Ledger.
Was this one of those moments you feel like you started to come into your own a little bit?
Yeah, funny enough, the fans were a big part of this because I received, a lot of messages that people were, missing the Joker persona and stuff like that. But honestly, I was at a time in my career that I was trying to, get away from, being, called like a Joker copycat or ripoff or something like that. When originally I did get inspiration for Ledger from Heath Ledger, and
you have the look a little bit. You have the hair. I mean, you have the height. I mean, there's certainly that similarity, no question. I think that there was, just from a look standpoint, there's obviously that.
Yeah, I'm from the Midwest too, so I was born from Indianapolis, Naptown.
What was
right
it?
by Chicago.
Okay, so you had maybe some of that inbred in you, so you were able to use that there and work it to your advantage.
Yeah, I can like, I have a little Southern accent now, obviously, but I can like tap into like a Midwestern accent pretty easily.
Do you miss being back home?
What do you mean?
Like in Indiana? From Indiana? Yeah, do you miss it? Indianapolis? Do you miss it at all?
So, I mean, yeah, I never really lived there. I was just really born there, but it just always is still home to me. It feels like home. So
when you're doing something like this and just going through this, I mean, this is obviously a huge part of just where you wind up going. Did you know in this moment that, hey, I'm going to go on and have this run?
No.
You would just go week by week then almost.
Yeah, it was, well, I wouldn't say week by week. It was more monthly, kind of after, pay-per-view event, super show, whatever they're called. Whatever
Some
they're
people
called.
call them premium live events. Some people call them pay-per-views still, although I don't know how you can call them pay-per-views in the yard. Others call them special. I don't even know at this point. I mean, whatever you want to call them, you can
It's
call
just
them.
the nostalgia of it, Tom, just to call it a pay-per-view, you know?
Yeah, although there is no more pay-per-views anywhere in the world. But I'm going to obviously fast forward because I want to get to the moment where you win the world title. And we're going to actually pull it up here right now. And there you come out. There you are. You're alive. You're alive and well. And, there's no deadness here. And you're about to come back. And there you are. And, boy, I mean, you appeared and you weren't in the box. But now you're out of the box. And there you come. And you come in there. And good old Josh is certainly looking like he's seen a ghost. And, yes, it's real. And, boy, I could certainly see who the ref is. And he's obviously nervous, too. And there you have it. You come out there and you're ready to go, champ. Speechless. I know it's kind of weird watching this. I mean, you probably haven't watched this since it happened.
I haven't seen this in a long time. I mean, like, I do a lot of editing, which I haven't edited in like 6 months. But
was it
yeah,
hard?
It's cool.
Was it hard in these months to go back and maybe think about talking about this stuff or watching? Because you were just, some people go out and they're on a show and, they have a match or two and it is what it is. But you were just in everybody's minds. I mean, was there, a moment or does it make you feel a little awkward at all watching some of this back?
No, not at all. Like, TBW had a special place in my heart always. I busted my ass over there. I put a lot of hours into it, a lot of love, a lot of TLC went into it.
So, you definitely did here, and we'll take this off the screen. And also, you were mentioned for being great with video packages. I mean, what's that about? I guess in a way, I do a lot of basketball. You should appreciate. I covered a lot of college basketball. I covered college basketball before the pandemic, and I used to go to basketball games. I was briefly sort of a guy that they would ask me for an eye on talent coming, almost like a mini scout. And there's a thing that's called mixtapes or reels. Did you look at a lot of these video packages similar to like your reels or your colleagues in TBW's reel mixtapes almost? Was that a fair statement to make?
Here's a fact for you, Tom.
Go for it.
Anything, I think besides one video package that you see in the catalog of Legend was made by me.
Oh, wow.
There is one video package which was produced by one of my boys. He's the head editor in TBW. Season finale 4, the Little Mike. It was the My Way. It was the My Way.
Yes.
He killed it.
And Mr. Flores would say that his editing was one of the best I've seen. I've seen a lot, but TBW is great. I want to ask you a general question on this. I know guys have answered this a lot, but TBW's video packages are just pound for pound some of the best out there. And how important was that to the company's success?
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, like, video packages got me over. I think video packages.
Oh, for sure.
Tell
Absolutely.
the stories through the video package.
Sure.
Like, come on, man. Like, I took opportunity at that. When I started to mess around with the phone, I was like, oh yeah, we put this together and that together. Yeah, this is starting to become a story. I'm starting to, lay the track and stuff and getting all the clips, and I'm envisioning, all the different clips I'm going to put with the audio lay over it. So it's honestly fun. It's a lot of fun. It can be a hampering, searching for the clips. That's a pain in the ass. But it's rewarding. It's real rewarding.
Absolutely, no question about that. And before I play another one of This Is Your Life moments, I do, because I have so many of them, I have to present something else to you on the screen. And we are speaking, of course, with the legendary Ledger Shade. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. Mr. Ledger, I am going to give this to you because you're obviously Mr. Anniversary. So I thought, what better way to recognize you like Mr. Anniversary? I mean, boy, hello. I mean, you're Mr. Anniversary. So I thought that would be a great thing to give you on the screen and obviously recognize you for everything that you did, with Anniversary and the show itself. And I do have a comment from somebody that is coming on the platform next week. And you actually I guess you could say, sort of shared a moment or two with, and he really is improving. And he's a guy that I actually have a tie to because I bought a portion of Mr. Titan's former training promotion, the Pride Wrestling Federation of, and that is the one and only Xavier Thorne. He says, how does it know feeling that the standout Xavier Thorne is about to surpass your title reign as world champion in a different promotion? Xavier Thorne, I mean, I'm sure you're probably going to have, a fun thought or two on him. What do you think about Xavier
Oh
Thorne?
shit! Honestly, Tom, I was trying to remember who the hell that was. No, I'm sorry. No, for real, because I haven't been watching Backyard. I haven't been keeping up with it. So
Yeah.
apologies.
Oh,
Apologies.
no, it's
Because,
okay.
what's his name say? X Universal Studios?
Yeah, he's a big streaming gamer. He's a friend of mine. He's
Is
been
he
on
any
my
good
platform.
though?
Well, if you ask Resurrection Pro Wrestling, they're going to tell you yes because they're
I don't
helping him
think they're
out.
allowed to talk to me.
Well, you know what? I'm sure that because I'm having you on the platform and I happen to like the guys in Resurrection Pro Wrestling and they come on my platform, I think that they'll be okay with you. So I'm pretty sure that, I am kind of the guy that can break certainly ices of people. So
Tom,
yeah.
it's a joke. It's a
I know
joke.
I was playing around. But Cody Flores loved my. I always say, champ, I'm trying to be a stand-up comedian, but I did want to play you something else on the screen. That'll be another moment of yours that I have to bring up on the screen because I know there's so many people and there's still questions I have to ask you, and I will definitely
Okay.
get them. But I do
Bring
want
'em
to
on,
put
bring
this
'em
on
on.
the screen. Yep. Remember this here? You remember seeing this?
Yep. Season finale 5.
This is where your career crystallized and you became the world heavyweight champion for the first time.
Finally,
Finally, after all that
Shit.
effort and,
Took 5 tries.
well, you made it. I mean, were you starting to worry that you weren't going to win the big one at this point going into season finale 5?
No, honestly, I looked at it like stocks. Like I was just the longer I waited, man, the longer I waited, the more over I was gonna be.
That's
when I
how
finally
I
got
feel
it.
about my
So
mutual fund these days. I was telling my
like, just,
mother about
I
my
was
mutual fund account.
just
That's
leaning
so funny.
back, waiting. I knew I had that run coming, which it's crazy, is because that was a real pivotal time too. Because at the time, our main baby face, little Mike, was
Yep.
on his way out of the company and stuff. He was focusing on school and work and all that stuff. So I took the opportunity to try to, hey, I'm gonna try to do this face thing, and that's when I had the turn. When I came back at anniversary 4.
Did you feel comfortable more as, I guess, quote unquote, and I hate doing this, but you'll probably appreciate this the way I say it. Did you feel more comfortable as a good guy or in the second half of your run as champion with the Anarchy era? What did you feel more comfortable in your championship reign?
Something about that second run,
With the Anarchy
with the
era
shade,
and the music,
and, getting
yeah.
tagged along with Josh. We had a little pre-trial with that. We were working together. It's summertime, 2022. I had a storyline with Joe Anderson, the Grim
Yep.
Reaper. He was getting an opportunity to step up to the main event scene. He was going to play with me, and so we feuded the whole summertime. And Joe at the time, he's got better at talking, but he wasn't, the best talker, and neither am I. But
Well,
Josh,
I mean, you didn't need to.
getting a lot of
What
the
you did in the
promos.
ring, yeah. But yeah, well, you didn't need to. I'm curious as I'm watching this match. Daniel Cole, you and him probably had, I guess, of your career in TBW, maybe, I guess, the longest feud. Maybe Gage, maybe Gage would be right up there. But was there a favorite opponent of yours throughout your career in TBW?
That's a tough question. I think you pretty much named the two that I enjoyed working with the most. The two in the
Gage
ring.
and Daniel. Yep.
It's really hard to choose from them, which is crazy because Daniel has not been doing this long at all. Like me and Gage, we've been best friends for years and years, so we wrestled for a decade together. But Daniel, man, he's a dog. I'll give him this. He's the best rookie backyard wrestler of all time.
He was so close to beating you for that title toward the end. You and him.
He won the title. He won the title before me.
Yes, but I meant in the run you had with the Anarchy era when we saw your right before your last big show before the Resurrection TBW thing. He was so close to beating you. I mean, Josh is obviously keen to fear.
He should have beaten me. I really wanted him to beat me.
He was close. I mean, he was obviously there was just you and him were such a yin and yang, almost like for basketball fans, the Knicks and Pacers right now. In a generation ago, they were yin and yang. You and Daniel Cole were like that. I think if you ask me, and going back and watching your career, I think you and Daniel Cole, to me, that was the one. If I were to look back and say that's what I'm going to remember you from in your feuds. Gage for sure is important because of the beginnings of your career. I would argue Lake Lewis is important, but I throw it out there to me. I think you and Daniel Cole, the alpha, that's kind of like the yin and yang right there. And what do you think there as you're watching some of this stuff again? Bringing back memories?
Yeah, it was cold as shit that day.
Well, I know that. You know how? Because I actually called Anthony. We had James on here with Anthony Steele, and we opened the show. We watched it about a month or so ago, and we watched the match that they had where James wound up winning. So, what was that like being in that show? James talked about it. He had his opinion. Anthony, obviously, Anthony's Anthony. But what was that like for you wrestling?
I'm gonna give you my true,
go for
take on this. This specific time at TBW was a really, really special time. It had a lot of potential. This was the tail end, season 5, so late 2021. It got postponed a couple times because of weather.
Yes, James was talking about it when he was here with us. Yep.
So we didn't get to film it until late January, and we got it up, a couple of days later. Editors and stuff, producers are working hard. But yeah, this was a real special time because the talent that we had at this time is crazy.
Yeah, you guys had a really good roster.
I always hear it seem like TBW's got a big 3. They got a big 3: Ledger, Gage, Cole, or if Cole's not there, Ledger, Gage, Titan. There's always something like that. Hear
Jay Wild. You could throw in there. Jay Wild's always in the peripheral. Could throw Jay Wild in there.
He wasn't then, but he might be now. I don't know.
Well, going back to season 6, you wrestled him for the world title. I would say since season 6, he's in that match.
I love that match.
We could certainly put that on the screen in a minute or two for sure. You're obviously the champion. Before I do that, let me get to some comments while we see the big moments. Also,
hey, I ain't picky, Tom.
You're Ledger Shade. Let's go to Jack Delta because Jack Delta's here Monday. Behind the scenes thing, one of my favorite moments in Tennessee was watching the legendary Xavier Thorne at Ledger's home. We watched show Thorne produce that Meltzer gave 7 stars.
Oh, I remember that shit, man. That's funny as hell.
Well, there you go. My good buddy Peter Richards, I do remember when Ledger won the heavyweight title, I jumped out of my seat excited because I was ready for a new era. He was very excited. And he's going to be excited.
Peter Richards, I appreciate you, man.
Love Peter Richards. Peter Richards is a good man. He's a good man.
For a long time.
He's a good man who's from the great state of Oklahoma, and he has always been on.
Okay, Boomer Sooner.
Love Oklahoma. Sorry about the Thunder, but I personally love the great state of Oklahoma. Always have.
Yeah,
James Taylor
I've always been a big Thunder fan.
Yeah, listen, I've always loved Oklahoma. I mean, New York. John Starks, if you're a Knicks fan, came from Oklahoma. Don't really care what you've planned because you always fail it in the end. A lot of these guys, he's talking about Thorne, not you. Also here, okay, Delta, thanks. I'm not sure how to feel. Let me go to this one. Thank you, Brian. I remember when Daniel first came out and trained, we were like, he's got it. Kind of like what you said. He was a rookie who already had it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm going to come back.
He come from an athletic background, so it was
yeah, you could tell he had something else here. And I want to say hello to Mr. CJ Black. He's the good guy right now. He is the man that's really helped ROEW go to the stratosphere. And he is a 7-star superstar rated by Copper Dragon, who's obviously Dave Meltzer. He's our backyard wrestling ambassador. He's the official scorekeeper of wrestling. I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Dragon. He's rated some TBW matches, and he would like to say hello. And speaking to some other people, maybe I'd like to get your thought on him. D'Angelo LaFlame. D'Angelo the Flame has been this guy who's kind of like another one that might be an heir to your throne, and obviously doing it. And we see the blackout there, but you have a thought on D'Angelo the Flame? He's obviously starting to travel, and he's obviously making his name. What do you think of D'Angelo the Flame?
I think LaFlame is an outstanding individual. I've only been around him a few times. One time we went to Memphis. It was the July show. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
That was the show where we had Resurrection and TBW, I believe, on the card, and
yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue, but
James Taylor wrestled Cameron Cage on the show. Yep, I remember it very well.
Yeah, I wrestled Gage Flair.
Correct. Yep, you wrestled Gage Flair, and you got the win because obviously you hadn't lost in over 700 days, and ROEW got sold today. People are selling and buying companies left and right. That accounts yours truly, but different conversation for a different time. So this is the moment you win the title. Maybe I'll come back, and Mr. LaFlame would say he respects you. And
yeah, but back to LaFlame though, like
yeah, I want to go back to him.
I haven't really been watching, the backyard scene, so I don't really know what's going on.
Do you feel like you missed the backyard scene?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit, yeah.
Is it hard for you sometimes not to watch?
No, I wouldn't say that. But I can't sit there and like watch it for hours like I used to.
Well, to be fair, I mean, Jack Delta's been on here and says I wrestle in many places, and sometimes it's hard to be able to watch everybody. Did you feel the same way? Jack would talk about that a lot and saying that it would be hard sometimes to watch everybody because you're just in the moment. Is that the same for you?
What do you mean by that?
He would talk about the fact that because he wrestled in many places and people would want to ask him like about their match, but he would find it very hard sometimes to be able to give everybody an answer. And he was focused on trying to help himself. Did you feel the same way? Because you obviously had so much pressure. I mean, your pressure was immense.
Yeah, every filming day, man, it was bam, straight in the pressure cooker. And you could tell too, man. You could tell when I was, under pressure.
But, I think toward the end, I felt that the last 4 or 5 shows, your mannerisms, it was hard. It was very hard on you.
Yeah, but hard. I still went out there and I showed out. Some of my best work is, towards the later end of my backyard run.
I think the match you had with King Rage, the last one, what a fantastic match. I think that was just, my goodness. I mean, what was it like? I've had Rage on the show. I mean,
you have to ask him, man. You have to ask him.
I will ask him that question. So I'll ask you a question I think you can answer for me.
What's up?
In the fact that I talked a lot about you being the greatest backyard wrestling world champion of all time. I've talked about you being on the Mount Rushmore. Your last appearance on TV.
Hey, I appreciate your opinion, but that's totally subjective.
I was going to ask you, what did you think about that? Do you see yourself on there? I mean, it was mentioned on TBW was starting to even mention it. They were mentioning the fact in the final shows you were on, they were talking about the fact that this run is unprecedented. Nobody else has out there ever done that. I mean, there's a guy currently right now, Mr. Judgment, another promotion, that he's trying the run. I don't think he's trying it because you had the run, but he's got a run like yours. Craven Rage, who I don't really go and look up, but he in Wisconsin tried your run, but the facts are is nobody had your run. You weren't pinned in over 700 days, almost 2 years. I mean, like when I talked about these things tonight, do you feel like you're one of the greatest of all time? TBW was acknowledging it. How did you feel about that?
Again, like it's hard to gauge because we're talking all time. Certainly, I think of my generation, yeah, I think I deserve to be up there. But as far as all time goes, there's so much stuff that is not documented or not even recorded for whatever reason. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. There's a lot of great wrestlers out there. There's good talent.
Oh, let me ask you this: when you were toward the end of the run in TBW, when they were starting to mention it on TV, you had to have heard that. You heard the footsteps, obviously, correct?
Yeah, from my social medias.
You heard the footsteps.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How did that make you feel at that time?
Honestly, it's kind of a blur. It was a stressful time. Um, but I did, I made the decision to walk away from TBW. I wasn't fired or released or anything like that. Um, I would say oh shit, phone fell off. But I would say that the process was amicable. It was mutual
Sure.
on both sides. It wasn't no hard feelings or anything like that. So,
Do you have any regrets in your career so far? Was there any regrets about just the run, the pressure? Nothing toward anybody negatively, but was there ever any regrets or anything you wish that you could have did differently?
honestly, I like to not even have that concept of thinking, just because then you're sitting there nitpicking everything. Because like I am a perfectionist, like a lot of people can tell you that I do strive to be the best and to put out the best story, the best matches, the best character development. I'm just real prideful amongst those categories and things.
Sure. Let me get to some comments. A lot of people want to say hello to you. My good buddy, the Baltimore kid from the great state of Maryland, would like to say that he's definitely happy. He's on my show Friday nights, and he's an analyst. He also does a podcast himself, the Be More Talkative podcast, and we're trying to be talkative on Sportswire. Thank you very much, and I thank everybody for supporting Sportswire. Sportswire, we've blown up kind of like TBW has in the backyard. I have people from all over the world. I was actually you're gonna laugh. I'm gonna make you feel good, champ. I was at my own mother's wedding a couple weeks ago, and I was more concerned about being on Sportswire than being at a wedding. And I had people messaging me that were there. Oh, I've seen you on Facebook. I've seen your clips, and I have a clip out there with Alan Michaels of all people, 30,000 views on TikTok. So
Damn.
I've been doing it for 5.5 years, and I want to say the last 6 or 7 months, I've had for the first time people that have like really thought it was a joke me doing this that have come back and said, you know what? You're actually not bad at it. So maybe I could not have a career in stand-up comedy, but keep doing this. And TBK has been a great supporter. I thank you so much for his support and his hard work.
Hey, Tom, just keep moving forward, man.
I am. I'm talking to you, so I'm definitely moving forward. So Mr. Taylor would like to say season finale 5. I opened the show with the statement, and Ledger ended it with winning the title. Was like he said, the talent that then was a lot different than what it became. Deadly Collision was the resurrection show.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I'm gonna move away from that. I respected that about you in the locker room because some of the things you said. Let me get to a few other things I want to present you because I got 2 more things, and I promise you I won't present you any more things, but I want to put this out there.
Hey, more gifts.
You are the greatest world champion in backyard wrestling history because I think the facts don't tell me otherwise. And I wanted you to have that. So I obviously want to say, congratulations to you and everything you've done in the yard. And I think that should be recognized. And I want you to have that because I think that the numbers speak for itself. I know when we think about your career, it's so far a short amount of time, but there's no denying in that 3+ years what you did speaks volumes. What were you on, 250,000 views, 300,000 views in your career? I mean, how many champions can say that in their career that they generated 250,000 views or something like that? TikTok, you guys generated massive amounts of views. I mean, there's no denying those things. And I think that's, some different points of point. And also I wanted to, because, as I stated to introduce you, May 17th was the debut of your career, right? So I wanted to be permanently known that on May 17th, every day on May 17th till the end of time, at least on this platform, it's Ledger Shade Day. So that was a cool one.
Hey, I like it. I like it.
I thought you like. That's a great day. That's a great day. When you go back to May 17, 2020, what was going through your mind that day?
Not being where I am now.
That's a good answer. I mean, listen, that's a good answer. People, it's funny. People ask me things like that sometimes. They say, "Well,
like I always go back to I can't believe it's been 4 years. 4 years of Ledger, 4 years of or 3.5 of me being at TBW. It's just crazy how quick it all went by because you know, everything we do out there is just a moment. It's gone like that, and that's the
Yeah.
truth. That's the
Yeah,
facts.
it's
Like,
life.
yeah,
You
you can
know,
always go back and watch it on YouTube, but it's not the same.
no, you know, it's like that for a lot of people. And I wanted to put up here, you know, in the interest of time, some of the match with the Prophet Jay Wild, and obviously another guy that's kind of been in your position in the past, who's trying to win the world title, and remains to be seen if he'll
On
do
the
that.
hunt,
But
on the chase. Yep.
he's been on the chase for a while, and obviously he hasn't been able to quite get there. And you know, there you are with him, and he's a guy that's really, you know, a solid hand. You know, do you see him winning a world title? I mean, I know you're not following as much because you're a busy man. You're Mr. Ledger, but I mean, do you think he's a world
Has he not
champion?
won the world title yet?
No, no, he's feuding right now with Russell Cooper for it. But you know, he's obviously been on the edge. He obviously feuded with James when you were still in Tennessee, and you know, he lost to Alan Michaels. Ironic, my buddy Alan Michaels. So shout out to Alan Michaels. But you know, that's kind of where we're at with him, and you know, TBW, and obviously
I've
we see
seen
the
Alan Michaels is back in TBW.
yes, Alan, who I asked you about, Alan, my good buddy Alan Michaels, who actually defeated Jay Wild in a tag team match not too long ago, and they was
Hey,
supposed to
he's
have a
bad at
return.
them tag matches.
I'm aware. We're gonna watch one coming up. Well, we have one in the next season coming up, but we're in this
Hey,
match
heads
here.
up, boy! Bam, sling blade.
Oh, you love that. What made you so good as a high
Hey,
flyer?
what do they call that? Vintage ledger.
Kinda, yeah. But
Vintage
what made
ledger.
you so comfortable as a high flyer? Why were you, you know, good as a high flyer?
Just me being a risk taker.
Was it ever?
I mean, here's the thing, Tom, because we're treading into some gray areas now. Because my style of wrestling, what I like and stuff, is more like showsman, character, you know, not really work rate stuff. So that's what I really worked on in 2022. And I really think I'm, you know, one of the best at storytelling for sure.
Was that important to you, but also to where the run was going? That if you didn't have that layer, and we see a cat go by there. How about the
that's
irony
an
of that?
omen. That's an omen right there. Not an omen black though.
Ah, that was a good one there, champ. Certainly, you're a very clever man, but obviously, that's one thing. But was that important for you that you were telling a story throughout the run?
Hey, you picked up on your wits, you know, traveling with Josh. that man was witty.
Yes, I've had him on here many times. I speak with him many times. Yep.
Like I said, when we had the opportunity to run that pre-trial in 2022, when we went man behind the paint versus Grim Reaper, you know, lost the casket match, never pinned or anything, lost the casket match. And then we went the funeral route, Ledger Shade returning, Josh being conflicted, choosing between choosing between the Grim Reaper and Ledger Shade, who has been historically like the most, you know, devilish character in TBW.
For sure. Let me say hello to some more people. I wonder who that might be related to. I want to say hello to you, and we thank you so much for tuning in. And we love Ref Carter, by the way. Ref Carter, by the way, I think is in the best shape of any referee in this sport. But I have actually said this on prior Sportswire shows, and
I signed him.
There you go. You know, listen, there's nobody like you, champ. That's why you're
Who said I can't be a talent scout?
I would certainly take your opinion over. Like I said, Hogan was a talent scout once upon a time, and you know, want to say hello to Mr. Steven Silvestri and
if my buddy heard that, he'd have a field day with that.
Well, you know what? Somebody's out there here because a lot of people are still watching you right now. Xavier Thorne wants to go on about the time you got outsmarted before Vendetta. I mean, I don't even know do you remember this? I don't want to put you on the spot, champ, because you're a very busy man. Shane Davidson had wrestled you in a dark match. Is that true? Or you wrestled Shane Davidson before?
Yep.
What was your memories of that match? Anything that stood out most? We can move on.
I got something that stands out from that match. We had a spot at the beginning where he like Irish whipped me to the corner, and I just was like, holy shit, I got speed. So I just decided to yeet. I decided to yeet the whole damn ropes, and I jumped over the whole fucking ropes and took a bump.
Oh, wow.
That was-
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Shane, to me, is a guy
Everyone
that
was like, "What the hell?" Like, was
Shane
he
is
just joking?
that's how Shane is. But Shane's a guy I really would bet on still because I think that he's got a lot of potential. I don't know where he may end up at some point. I don't know that question, but I feel like with what his abilities are, is that he's a guy that can certainly still do a lot in this sport. I want to agree with Jack Delta. Jay Wild deserves some recognition in gold. One of the most underrated and underutilized people in all of the yard. I could not agree with
Like
you more.
I said, I was a little shocked when I heard that he hasn't been world champ.
No, he is not.
Like, I
no.
figured when I left, he'd probably win the title.
Well, that was obviously something that didn't happen, but he is still competing for it. He was there in the Gold Rush tournament, but Mr. Thorne says
Hey,
that
you gotta
Steven,
keep grinding. You can't just give up. It took me 5
hey,
times.
there's nobody that knows that better than
He's up
Ledger
there
Spade.
now. He's probably up there now.
And speaking of people that might be Mr. Carter, and Mr. Carter, I think, says hello. He gives you his way hello. So how you doing there to Ref Carter? And obviously Ref I think he's in the best shape of any referee out there. I mean, I watch a lot of referees, and he's the one guy that, is just in that kind of shape. And he looks like he can still go out there in the ring. He's just in, fantastic shape there. But Jay Wild just, I think Jack Delta said it best. Another great opponent for you. Obviously you had some feud with him, but would you like to have done more with Jay Wild?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, had that plan. We had some storylines planned. But we didn't get to fulfill them, unfortunately, but it's all good. We had a great time, great story.
Oh, you did. No, there's no question.
I mean, hell, we main evented season finale 6.
Yep. And you did that
Which
times.
honestly was a kind of weaker card. So
it wasn't 5. But what was that like, though? 3 main events in a row for season finales. And that's a pretty cool stat there for a company like TBW. They've been mentioning these things on the screen, and I know you don't seem like a guy that it mattered much, but it matters a lot because in the court of but the stats say, wow, like people would talk about Hogan main evented the first 9 WrestleManias. You main evented 3 consecutive season finales. You were Mr. Anniversary, 700 plus days without being pinned, Triple Crown winner, undisputed champion, U.S. champion, 500 plus days. Like these things are like really in history. People talk about guys, Aaron Blaze, he's this, Anthony Steele, he's this, Jack Delta, he's this, Omen Black, he's this. People talk about Mr. Judgment, he's this. People talk about Aaron Jones, he's this. People talk about Omen Black, people talk about Soldier GP, CJ Black, Jake Matthews, all these guys, but there's really only one you. I mean, you really it's like just you're on another level. You're just really, to me, on the Mount Rushmore. As I stated, to me, you're on the top of Mount Rushmore. If there was a Mount Rushmore, like you are there. I mean, you really are there in Mount Rushmore. I know we're coming toward like the end of the segment soon, but like you are really like on the Mount Rushmore. That's why like tonight to me was a celebration. It's, it's a celebration of you because there's to me undenying the facts. And Ref Carter might be the greatest referee. I mean, who's gonna say who else is better out there? And that's Matthew. I don't know about that, but I mean, Matthew Joseph was your mentor. What do you want to say about Matthew Joseph? You have such an interesting history with Matthew Joseph.
Other than he's still like a brother to me. Yeah, Matt's awesome.
I like Matthew.
I've had a lot of days and nights with Matt.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I'm sure those are things that, I'm sure somebody will know about off the air. But, obviously people have heard a lot from you tonight. Obviously, this has been a special show. And I know that in many ways, it's kind of still almost hard to fathom. The greatest backyard wrestling champion this sport has ever had is here live with us tonight for whatever time that it is. And it's very rare we get somebody like you. And to be here, the only other comparisons I could compare this to is Rad Dad Radley Belmont. In GTS wrestling, he was once upon a time, he was Rad Dad Hazard, and he was Rad Hazard, and he was a BWYN in those days, and it was, he went on to become the GTS dual champion and GTS Grimm's Toy Show. Everybody knows that, and Jimmy Controversy, and you're on that level. Dean Allmark, RP Davis, Jack Delta is also in the same level. I'd probably say Aaron Blaze is very close to that level. James Taylor's got obviously an argument. 120,000 followers puts him in the conversation of people that come on and people go, wow, the Tribal Cheese in the UK is a guy that has 400,000 views on a post on Instagram, and he's a kind of like you of the UK, and other people are out there. But people want to know, like, is this the end? Are we saying, like, is tonight goodbye to the wrestling world? Like, will we see you ever again in a wrestling ring? Because people, they love you. The truth is, I know that things ended amicably, thank God, in TBW, and I love TBW. I want to put it out there. We love having Atomic Titan. He was here Monday. I asked about you, and Josh comes on here. I speak to Josh regularly. Jacob Young, who's been in the company for, he's a friend of mine. Manny Cobra, who's been here a few times. Shane Davidson, Alan Michaels, I brought up. And there's a lot of great people in TBW. And, I really enjoy their product. And I love the relationship that we have in the company. When James used to work there, Jack used to work there, Xavier Thorne, Anthony Steele. The point is, we love TBW. But people would like to know, because people love you. They love you so much. Really, people love you. Like, will we see you again in the ring? Or like, what's your future?
Well, I can say this. Out of all those individuals, I'm the only one who didn't get the pink slip. So
nobody would give you first of all, nobody would give you a pink slip. First of all, for what you did. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I'll let you come back to this, but I want to get this off my chest, if you don't mind. No company would be giving you a pink slip. As a matter of fact, I think every company out there, whether they would admit it or not, would be building their company around you. I just want to put that out there. So no company would give you a pink slip. They would be building their company around you. And if I really was doing the business of promoting, even though I own a portion of the Pride Wrestling Federation, Mr. Titan's promotion, I'm not like other people out there. I let the professionals handle it. But what I will say is that if I was truly starting a promotion of any sort, Mr. Ledger, you would be one of the people I would be building around, not firing. So you can continue.
Hell yeah, first round draft pick.
You would be first round draft pick, first pick. Mr. Delta be my second pick. How about that?
I don't think Delta's going to be too happy with that, but we can.
He's here Monday night. I'll let him have his moment, then we'll ask him.
I'm sure he'd be happy to settle it in the ring, so we can do that.
But
sometime.
Just. But the future is, like, will we ever see you? Like, what would you like to say on that?
Most likely not in the backyard, anyways. But I do want to pursue wrestling, so we'll see. We'll see if it's in the cards. Right now, I've just been really focused on my actual job and career. Okay. Backyard wrestling doesn't pay, so.
Listen, people joke with me all the time as I'm starting to really grow. Even though I've had a previous life in college athletics, and people are noticing my platform. They ask you, "Oh, well, how much money do you make on Sportswire?" And I said, "It's really nothing. I mean, I have a job.
It's a hobby.
I have a quasi career in politics. I've had semi success. I can't say I've really made it in that world, but I'm kind of known in that for different things. I'm not going to get into here, but so." I understand the grind in that. But if you were to have, though, like one or two moments in your career that stood out most, what would they have been?
One or two moments. Damn, Tom, these are tough questions, man.
You're one of the greatest of all time. I mean,
Let's see. I'd have to say probably, man, there's so many. So there's so many great moments.
You could say 3, 4, 5. You're Ledger Shade. I'll give you 6. I don't know. And Cody Flores, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you one day on Sportswire Radio. So thank you, Cody, for tuning in. But you can answer it in many ways.
I would say probably winning the world title for the first time.
When you won it for the first time, was that like, did you just kind of look at it and go, wow, I'm a world heavyweight champion? What was this?
Yeah, because funny thing is, a little behind the scenes, I was scheduled to win the world title Summer Bash 2021. That was about after 2 months after I had come back from being away from like 6 months. I took a break after season finale 4 main event. But so when I came back, I had the opportunity to reinvent myself and go on the face run that I did, that's where I really split. Like Ledger and the Shade, it's the same person, but they're two different characters. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was kind of like what Sting was doing in TNA for a period. He had almost the same.
But it's not. But
Kinda
it's
forget
but
about
it's
that.
not like a schizo because it's not
No,
as sudden.
no,
Like
no.
it's not like a Jim Carrey off Me, Myself, Irene, where it's like every like 15 minutes it's snap of the finger.
No, I don't think you had the Jim
But yeah,
Carrey personality.
I went with storytelling. That's what gets everyone over. So I went with me having my salvation from the Joker persona. So that's how I kind of separated myself from that. And then when people wanted me to bring it back, I was like, shit, how can I bring this back, but in a unique way and not calling it, Joker persona or getting people telling me that stuff. So I did the one eye.
Yep.
Like I said, I did the one eye. And then I got a lot of inspiration from, I'm a big Zelda fan.
Yep.
And I had a lot of inspiration from, Link's shadow.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
Hero Shade.
Yep.
Hero Shade. That's where I got the name Shade. So actually, the correct way to spell my name is apostrophe S.
Okay.
Because it's in possession.
Well, I'll make a note of that now.
Well, it's over now, so.
Well, okay. Well, obviously it's what it is, but I think
going through that, hitting those key points and storytelling gets you over. That's what got me to the top.
But that's what I think really stood out most, and I think that's what propelled TBW, was that TBW went from this company. Think about what
TBW is great. What I would love to say about TBW, I hate to cut you off.
Sure.
But I'm the Anarchy King, right?
You are the Anarchy era. We're living in it right now still, champ.
But that's what we prioritize over there. Is storytelling, character development, and that route. So that's something I can always, as long as some individuals over there, that'll always be the direction that, they're going.
Absolutely. And I think that those are things that, going back to TBW for a second, and before we get to closing thoughts, is that TBW, from where it started to where it is, you went on coalescing that journey. TBW starts in this company where it's just, kids in school and they start this thing, and, you're seeing the videos packages are not to where they are par. You guys aren't in a ring. You guys are doing pre-tape stuff during COVID. And then kind
Studio
of like
shows.
Around the time that you become the champion, then the company starts to get good. Then the company starts to have the ring there, then the bigger ring, and then you get the better video packages. Then you have the music different.
Hey, it's progression, baby.
Yeah, and it really comes quick. There are some companies that come on my platform and they're here for 21 years, and it's like they're stale. As stale as, my 5th grade science project on bread to see if bread would turn green, like in terms of just like their champion, their product. But you guys, it was like, it was fast. You think about it in life, it really was a short time frame that you guys all of a sudden went boom,
short
boom,
trip,
boom,
man.
Boom, boom. Yeah, I think
Short
about
trip.
it now. The company, when you left, had 6,000 subscribers. Now it's almost 7,500. I say it all the time. They'll be at 10,000.
They'll continue to grow.
But it's because of you. I know we're going to close soon, but you did that. No. You're the champion. You're the top guy. If you failed, TBW wouldn't have been where it was. There's no denying the fact. It's sink or swim with the champion. If you did not push, if you did not do what you did, The pressure you had was enormous. I compared you again to the likes of Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. We talked about the pressure he had as champion. We talked about Ric Flair being champion as many times as he was, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Roman Reigns recently. I mean, there's a whole list of people in this sport: The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, The Rock, Kurt Angle. I mean, you can go up and down a list of people. Bryan Danielson, Edge, John Cena, Randy Orton. Batista. I can keep going. But the point is that if you didn't succeed, there's no guarantee that TBW would be what it is today. There's no guarantee. And that also means there's no guarantee the Yard would be what it is right now. There's no guarantee. We talk about this thing Summer Bash, where all these companies are getting together, and they're getting together to crown a champion. There may not even be that. Sean Jovi doesn't come back to the backyard, maybe. He doesn't come back. If TBW isn't successful, there's no Craven Rage versus Omen Black. There's no if James Taylor doesn't do what he's done, there's no Omen Black. James Taylor comes back in TBW. He comes back because of you and what you did for this sport. You put this company and you put this sport on your back. So the facts are is that TBW, if you're done and this is it in the Yard, thank you for what you've done. This was a celebration tonight. But we're going to get to your closing thoughts, I promise you. But the facts are is that this company, if you didn't succeed, a lot of guys here tonight, maybe some exceptions, Delta probably would have still been Delta. Jake Matthews would have been Jake Matthews. Aaron Blaze was the one guy who hasn't made in TBW. He'd probably still be there. Steele would have been Steele. But a lot of these other guys that are up-and-comers in the last few years, no guarantee. Mr. Judgment, people would talk about him, but he doesn't ring the same bell as you. He's great. He's got a phenomenal talent. He's a borderline indie talent, but he doesn't have the same ring as Ledger Shade. Again, he's a fantastic talent. He's been on my platform. He's in my Hall of Fame. I love Mr. Judgment, but you have a certain mystique to you, a certain mystique. And I think there's no denying, no justification in the fact that if you didn't succeed as champion, I don't know where TBW, I don't know where the Yard would be right now.
That's fair enough. That's your opinion.
Okay.
It's a strong opinion.
I try to have strong. I'm known for strong opinions, but I think people like these opinions tonight from him. People like the fact that this show is very successful tonight. I can get a ring just saying LOL. TBW Mount Rushmore. Do you have a TBW Mount Rushmore?
TBW Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anybody in TBW history? Yeah.
Oh boy, I'd go Big Dog, Josh Rowland / Painmaker, Atomic Titan,
Gage Flair.
Then it gets a little edgy there. Yeah, I'd say Gage, and then I'd put me fourth on there, but
I think that
can be subbed out. I wouldn't be mad.
No, I think that's. I think if you look at TBW history, that's probably the four. I think that's your core four of the TBW history. You may not have the longevity as those guys, but I think that most people would certainly agree with that. Also, Dark Link being an inspiration.
Hey, we're here for the quality, not the quantity, right?
That's it. Listen, I think that people remember that far more. So listen, I mean, Bret Hart's run as a main eventer was 6 years. People remember that more than some people who did 30. Want to say hello to my buddy Jacoby, who was here a couple of weeks ago. He's wrestling D'Angelo LaFlame. I think this is Mr. Chaos. He would like to tell you 2-1. Mr. Max Chaos.
Am I guessing how old his kid is or what?
Oh, he's talking about the win-loss record.
Oh.
The win-loss record's 2-1. You and him. You versus him. Well, you're a modest man, champ. You're a modest man. But
I have to get a fact check on that.
You know what? I don't know about that, but you did win the Tennessee State Classic, which was a thing once upon a time. And was that a great moment in your career?
Yeah, that was one of the moments that crossed my mind.
That was a good one.
My proudest moment was I was a big part of going to posts, like when I first came in. Anniversary 3. we just wrestled on like the square platform. I was like, damn, I need a visual. So we got some damn tobacco posts, stuck them in the ground, threw some damn clothesline or some clothesline line or something. We put something up, but I think it was actually blue, like nylon rope. What's up?
God, jump in. God.
But yeah, that was that progression. Like I said, we took baby steps because now we got they got a ring. So
I was gonna say, how good did it feel for you to get into the ring when you guys got the ring? How good did that feel? We never talked about that on this platform, really. How good did that feel for you to be in the ring?
I was always the one who was like, I kind of like try to get everyone on board to try to get a ring, but it would never happen. So
I got to be honest. And
we came across a great opportunity with some great people.
I was going to say that I really think for any company to really succeed, you've got to have a ring. And I hear it a lot.
In 2020, yeah, you got to have a ring anymore.
You got to have a ring. I know there's some companies I work with that are on the mat still and the trampoline, but I can't.
Yeah, I can't take it serious, the trampoline.
Same here. I and I don't want to knock some companies that come on my platform, but for me, you got to have the ring. You guys made the transition. XCW did it. IMF has been great with it. WC may have, of all companies, might have one of the best rings. DBW's got great rings. VTW has done it. ROEW's got a fantastic ring, which leads me to Jason Storm, who's now the Cyclone. He was their former world champion. He was their former owner. He said he obviously enjoyed your stuff. Jacoby said if you ever step back in, Ledger versus Jacoby has a ring to it. Well, Mr. Ledger said that obviously the Anarchy era in the backyard is over for now. So obviously that means that you're going to have to, see him maybe on your TBW YouTube channel at TBW 2017. And this guy is definitely a virgin. I'm going to certainly say move on from that. We're a family station. I have kids that watch my platform and listen to my platform. But thank you so much for the comment. But before I get to closing thoughts, is there anything else that you would like to say to people tonight that you would want them to remember from this really one of the greatest appearances in Sportswire radio history?
I would just like for people to, remember me for my impact that I've had in the yard.
And it was just unbelievable. Your impact was just...
Well, it was a great system, to be honest. We had a great system over there at TBW, so...
But you know what? You still succeeded. You did it. I mean, listen, I'll continue to say it.
I mean, yeah, regardless, you have to put in work and effort, but it is, you heard the phrase, it takes a village.
Sure.
It definitely takes a collaborative effort, teamwork, but the workload is not always the same.
Sure.
So,
but you just, listen, the pressure, I always tell people before we go, I could never walk in anyone's shoes and judge them. Your shoes, though, were just like, very few.
Oh, it was hot lava.
I'm actually 6 foot myself. I'm actually probably just an inch under you. But, the facts is that, nobody could have walked in your shoes and know what you dealt with. I mean, I think that there's just nobody. Because remember, and also what I want to say before I let you go that you did that makes you even more special, you did it for only one promotion. You did it for only one place.
That's what I took a lot of pride in. Is I had one place to call home. It was our kingdom.
Everybody.
Together. So I always just wanted to, as a group, us to, be number one to compete with, promotions like EBW, ESW, and MEBW. Like promotions, like big time promotions have like 4,000, 5,000 subs, 10,000 subs. So we strive for greatness. We wasn't playing.
And you guys didn't lose. You guys went from, again, 2,000 subs to where you're at 7,500. It's really, you guys are there. I mean, you guys have built a national chain. You guys are an American small business success story. It's such a success story. I'm putting the company into the Hall of Fame. And, I mean, I think that, listen, you did it for one company. Guys go and travel to different places. You stayed. You didn't go anywhere else. You did this all here. You didn't go and test my water.
Hey, they tried. They tried to get me to leave.
But you didn't do it.
Other companies tried to get me to leave.
Oh, but you stayed loyal. You stayed true to who you were, and that's why you succeeded, and that's why TBW succeeded. Okay, thank you, Jacoby. He talks about then he never say never, but I think Mr. Ledger's made his mind up. I'd like to ask you one more question. I have to ask this question to you. It's really about Sportswire Radio, but I know you're obviously, not comfortable with these things, but I do have to one day put you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I can't have a Hall of Fame without the greatest backyard wrestling draw in history. I know you say it's subjective, but the point is that, I can't not have a Hall of Fame without you. So one day when you decide to come back, and again, you're a busy man, you've obviously done so much, and I've taken up so much of your time already tonight, but, one day you have to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. There's no Hall of Fame without Ledger Shade.
I appreciate that, Tom. But yeah, I got to get a couple more reps under my belt, so I can't be accepting Hall of Fame for one appearance.
No, but I said eventually. There's
Yeah. As far as ever seeing, getting me on here again, probably like 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair.
Something
I
like
think Jack does the same thing. Jack's here you shouldn't be here every week. You're a special
But
man.
next time that I'll be on this show, I'll have great news.
Okay, I'll tell you
I'll
what.
have great news to share.
That's a deal. All right, so you know what? I'm going to let you have the floor. I think that we've got the point tonight. It's been a special show. I think we're kind of pretty much at the end of the road, but I have no doubt that the road is not permanently paved because you still will be back here one more time or maybe more times down the road. But what would be your closing thoughts here tonight?
I appreciate the opportunity, Tom, for having me on the show. Always wanted to come on here, and we finally made it happen. So I'm glad to hear from, everybody in the backyard. It's been far too long, and I guess I hope to hear from him again.
I hope so too. I think tonight tonight was one of those moments people were like, wow, he's really here. And I think that the viewership showed that tonight. The viewership, even right now, there's still tons of people that are viewed in. That's
I don't even know how many are here. I don't.
About almost. It's on my 27 people right now watching this, which is like a lot because people were marking this on when they heard the news a couple days ago. Jaws dropped because you were basically like nobody talked about you on my platform in weeks and months.
Hey, can I say something? That's 27 badass people right there.
Because of you, because people love you. They love you. People love you. And
I appreciate them taking time out of their night to chill with the shade.
Listen, we're going to always live in the anarchy era. We always know you're Mr. Anniversary. We always know you're Mr. TBW. We always are going to know that you're the Shade. We always are going to recognize you as the Anarchy King. We always are going to recognize you as our Hulk Hogan. We are always going to recognize you as the greatest backyard wrestling champion of all time in any yard. We are always going to recognize you for the man that put this sport on his back single-handedly and did what you did. And, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for whatever else you do in the future. And regardless of what that is, it's been an absolute honor, pleasure, and privilege to have you here.
It is a privilege, yeah.
And I just can't thank you enough. And, I know that the future will only be the best is yet to come for you. And I can't wait to see what you do. Whatever you do in life, I have no doubt it'll be successful and even more successful than what you've already accomplished. And I'll certainly send you those things that I sent you for sure when we're off the air. And I just want to say congratulations. It has been an absolute honor. And I definitely think that you are definitely the man, the myth, the legend. And there's only one true main event that has come on to Sportswire Radio and been part of the backyard at the very top. And you are that, Mr. Ledger. And I think the Simpletons and I would agree with you and me. But thank you for all you've done. And I can't wait till the next time. And good luck to your Pacers tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to round 2 with you. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That was Mr. Ledger Shade. Yes, he was here. He was really live on Sportswire Radio, and he spoke about his career and what a journey it was, what a celebration. And one more comment from Jack Delta, who's going to be here Monday. He's got to follow you up. Boy, the irony of that. If this is truly the end, I'm glad I got to share the screen with you. Thank you for your contributions to the yard. And by the way, Jack Delta, 10 o'clock Monday night. And Jack Delta has an announcement. And also next Sunday night, Jake Matthews is here, the NEW Underground Champion, to promote the Riot in the Ring coming up. So you want to make sure you check that out. And D'Angelo the Flame's going to be in that. So I want to say hello to Jake and thank you to Jack. We'll see Jack Monday. And Mr. Ledger, thank you for all that you've done. And just it's been an honor. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You are voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regular scheduled programming. And I'll be here tomorrow with college basketball great Matthew Hurt. Matthew Hurt from St. Joseph's, Long Island University. Hopefully he remembers that he's coming on the platform. If not, I'm sure somebody will be here. But Xavier Thorns, sooner than later, the Shade will meet the standout again. And thanks. Well, we'll have to see Xavier Thorns here next Monday on Memorial Day, so we'll see. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one, global relation that is Sportswire Radio. And this man has been that definition of all wrestling matters. And this was the Shade.
Oh, that's you, Tom.
Nah, I don't know about that, but we're living in the Anarchy era because our Anarchy King has been here. And this is one I'm going to relive until the day I die. And thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you.